Welcome back. It's been a while since I did a video on what I would consider to be a true journeyman. Bill Guerin could be argued as a journeyman, but he scored 30 goals so many times. And to me, that's more of a hired gun than a journeyman, but again, quibbling about terminology. So Stu Barnes became a journeyman player. He became a very, very popular player, but it wasn't always that way. He's drafted fourth overall in 1989, and the Winnipeg Jets had some visions of what he might be, and he didn't last that long in Winnipeg, which in retrospect may have been an error by the Winnipeg Jets, who had their share of errors the first time around in the NHL. And then a bigger error would be committed by the team that actually acquired him from the Jets. So let's go through this. 91 92, he makes his debut in Winnipeg, plays 46 games, 8 goals, and 9 assists for 17 points. Nothing to worry about. It's a rookie season. It's fine. His following year, 92 93, he only played 38 games, recorded 12 goals, 10 assists, 22 points. He appears in 6 playoff games against Vancouver, 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points. And so things are progressing okay. Maybe not the way Winnipeg wanted, and Winnipeg ends up moving him. 93-94 plays 18 games in Winnipeg, records 5 goals and 4 assists before being traded on November 25th to the Florida Panthers in exchange for Randy Gillen. Also going with him was a 1994 6th-round pick. So it was Barnes and a pick for Randy Gillen. So Florida, they really liked this deal right off the hop. 59 games after the trade, 18 goals, 20 assists for 38 points. Excellent point totals, and likely more along the lines of where Winnipeg wanted him to progress to. So 94-95, lockout shortened season, 41 games, 10 goals, 19 assists, 29 points. So he's scoring at about a 20-goal clip, right? Over a full 82-game season. 95-96, 72 games played, 19 goals, so on the cusp of 20, 25 assists, 44 points. This, of course, is the year Florida goes to the Stanley Cup Finals. So again, another player who was on that Stanley Cup Finals run team of the Florida Panthers, and showing just how workmanlike this team was. And so 22 games played by Barnes, 6 goals, 10 assists, 16 points. He's one of those guys. Florida, it was impossible to shut them down because they had 4 third lines, basically what would have been third lines with other teams in all likelihood, and it worked. And so they get all the way to the final, and then Colorado said no thanks, and they stomped him out. His time in Florida, you would think after that run would have taken a while longer before they would have got tired of him, but he doesn't last that much longer. 96-97, plays 19 games, records 2 goals to go with 8 assists for 10 points. So his goal scoring's down. His points total still okay. But on November 9th, he's traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins with Jason Woolley in exchange for Chris Wells, who I guess they envisioned had a pretty good future, and they were getting a player from Pittsburgh that they liked. But it is viewed as potentially the worst trade in the history of the Florida Panthers. And that's ahead of the Luongo deal, the trade where Luongo goes to Vancouver. And it honestly, it works out really well for Pittsburgh right away. 62 games played for Pittsburgh in 96-97, 17 goals, 22 assists, 39 points, and in the playoffs, 5 games played and just the 1 assist. 97-98, this is his huge offensive year. So while he had 19 goals, back-to-back years, 97-98 he breaks through. 78 games, 30 goals, 35 assists, 65 points. It's a career year. And it's always touchy now when a player has a career year and you say it, because fans will say, well, there's no reason he can't do it again next year. But a lot of the time when it's a player who's been in a set pattern of production and they have a huge jump, it usually does fall back down. In the playoffs, he had six games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. His 15 power play goals that year was third in the National Hockey League. So on the power play, Stu Barnes was excellent. 98-99, 64 games played for Pittsburgh, 20 goals, so his goal scoring dropped. 12 assists, 32 points. So his production did drop back down to around a career average, right? And on March 11th, he's traded yet again. He's traded for Matthew Barnaby to the Buffalo Sabres. Barnaby, of course, a very controversial player at the time. Some people loved Barnaby, some people hated Barnaby, and some... It could depend on the game, and it could depend on who he's playing against and what was going on the ice. But the trade to Buffalo didn't work out initially for Barnes. Not offensively, anyways. 17 games in 98-99 after the trade and just 4 assists. So that's not the production he wanted, but Buffalo goes on a run to the finals. So for the second time in 4 years, he's off to the finals. 21 games played, 7 goals, 3 assists, 10 points. So Barnes, a playoff performer, and he would become a captain for the Buffalo Sabres as well. His leadership was strong, and just his work ethic. It was the work ethic with Stu Barnes was fantastic. So even when the goals weren't going in the net, fans really didn't complain much because Barnes was he was good away from the puck. He was good with the puck. He was just a really good player. So then we get into 2000-2001, 75 games played, 19 goals, 34 assists, 43 points. So again, almost 20 goals scored, right? 13 games in the playoffs, 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points. 2001-2002 only played 68 games that year, 17 goals, 31 assists for 48 points. So almost 20 goals here, almost 20 goals here, almost, and then there's an almost, nope, this was 20 goal season here. So he has some 20 goal seasons to go with a lot of close calls. But again, when that offense does tail off for the rest of his career, it doesn't really hurt his value much. So 02-03 with Buffalo, 68 games, 11 goals, 21 assists, 32 points. At the trade deadline, Dallas picks him up. So he's traded to Dallas for a 2003 second-round pick and Michael Ryan. So Dallas picking him up for the bottom 6, and it works. 13 games played after the deadline, 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in the playoffs. 12 games played, 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points. 2003-2004, the last year before we get into salary cap era, 77 games, 11 goals, 18 assists, 29 points. So his totals have dropped, but this is where he's pretty popular in Dallas. There were actually t-shirts that said, "We're not booing, we're stewing." So it's an interesting idea, right? Definitely in Boston, you could have, Tuukka Rask, you have Tuuk, and, well, they're booing too. But Stu Chance in Dallas were legit. So in the playoffs that year, he had 5 games, no points recorded. After the lockout in 2005-2006, 78 games, 15 goals, 21 assists for 36 points. 06-07, 82 games, so a full season towards the end of his career here. 13 goals, 12 assists, 25 points. And in the playoffs, 7 games played, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. He was one of the better forwards for Dallas in that series against Vancouver in 2007, a series where Dallas struggled to score. So did Vancouver, though. Marty Turco and Roberto Luongo were really locked in that series, and it was a really interesting series from the perspective that Dallas was getting a reputation of not being able to win, and so was Turco, but they were great in that series. Just Luongo was that much better. 2007-2008, 79 games played in his final season, 12 goals, 11 assists, 23 points. In the playoffs, he plays 9 games, gets 2 goals and an assist to round out his career. As August 28th of that year, he did retire. He retires with 1,136 games played, 261 goals, 336 assists for 597 points. Frustratingly, 3 points short of 600. In the playoffs, 116 games, 30 goals, 32 assists, 62 points. And again, hardworking, leader, and a guy who, if he was traded, it wasn't as much a team trying to get rid of him as it was a team trying to pick him up. There's a difference. There's a difference between a guy getting dumped off and a team saying, "We would like to add this player." So he was Sabres captain. Interestingly enough, in Spruce Grove, Alberta, which is a beautiful town, at least it was the last time I was there. That was about a decade ago. They named an arena, Stu Barnes Arena, after him. And he was the scout for the Seattle Kraken, and then decided to take a head coaching job with the Tri-City Americans, bringing his career full circle. I believe he played in Tri-Cities as junior. So, Stu Barnes, number 4 pick in 1989, seen by some as a bust early on in his career, and then he plays 1,136 games. So he's a good example of a player who reinvented himself as need be as an NHLer from what he was expected to be as a junior player, and it worked out pretty well. So, yeah, good career, and I can add this to the playlist for Journeyman, which I haven't added to for a while. But there you go, Stu Barnes, a very unexpected by me too that I'm doing a video on Stu Barnes, but I thought, you know what, it's an interesting video to do because he I don't want to say he bounced around the league, but he did go through a number of teams, and he had his reasons for being a good player in every location he was. The one exception might be Winnipeg. That Winnipeg decided they wanted Gillen, and they were willing to sacrifice Barnes to get Gillen, and Florida said thanks, and he was part of the reason they get to the Stanley Cup final in '96, where they just had such a good work-like ethic, and he was a big part of that. So, there you go. Hard work does pay off. Didn't get him a cup. You don't necessarily just get the ring through hard work alone, but it got him all the way to the finals. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.